Basketball fans, your Toronto Raptors moved to 7-5 after a 116-109 win over the Houston Rockets. Welcome into Raptors Today, coming to you from outside the scene of the crime, the Scotiabank Arena. Akil, Sherm Hamilton, Paul Jones. Jonsey, I'll start with you. Without Pascal Siakam, the pressure is on this cast of characters for the Toronto Raptors. One of the guys, OG Anunoby, he put it out there. He wants to be one of the best defensive players of the year in this league, but right now the Raptors need to lean on him offensively. How is he accepting that role?
Well, you know, Akil, you talk about the cast of characters. There are a whole bunch of guys that could step forward, and OG is one of them. Let's touch a little bit on what you mentioned about the Defensive Player of the Year. OG has the sixth straight game with 3 or more steals. That is the second longest consecutive streak in franchise history. Doug Christie did it for 8 games. In that game against Houston, OG went past a lot of people in the record books. Defensively, we know what he can do. In guard 5 positions, terrific anticipatory skills, getting in the passing lane, often deflecting balls and sometimes making interceptions and taking them for layups himself or setting up broken floor situations. So his defensive prowess is quite known. Offensively, though, I thought he did a terrific job in the game against Houston of keeping the Raptors in it early. Houston came out, hit first, as you said, a young team that, you know, was feeling good about themselves, and OG had 20 points in the first half, and I thought that really kept Toronto in the game. There was a potential for it to fall apart, and his offense was great. He didn't force it. It came to him naturally. He took opportunities when he got them, also made some plays for others. So that's the kind of balance that he's going to have to strike on the offensive end and keep up his defense. He will certainly emerge and come forward as one of the leaders without Pascal.
Now, from the cornerstone of this Raptors defense to the cornerstone of their half-court offense, Fred VanVleet was huge at the end of the second quarter, and then you get to the fourth quarter, 12 of his 32 points. Sherm, they're really going to have to lean on him continuously in the fourth.
Yeah, kind of like OG, they're going to need Fred to continue to play at that high level. Even when Pascal was healthy and playing at such a high clip, Fred was great in moments, especially late in games. He would make plays consecutively. What we saw against Houston was Fred saying, no Pascal, no problem. I'll take care of this. I'll step my game up. Yeah, he had 12 points, but it's the efficiency. 5 of 9 from the floor, 2 of 3 from the three-point line in that quarter. So Fred understands the moment. He has a pulse and a feel for the game and knows exactly when he needs to assert himself and take it over in whatever fashion he needs to do it. So his leadership is really invaluable when you think of the timing of it. And as a point guard, we all know this. You've got to be able to set the table and know when to take your own. And Fred has really mastered that. He did a great job against Houston, but he's been like that even when Pascal was playing at a high level. So I tip my hat to Fred.
All right, the guy that tips his hat the most, of course, is the person most thankful for these performances. That's the head coach, Nick Nurse.
Can you expand a little on your decision-making when it comes to a guy like that where you know what you're going to get, you're not going to get double-digit points or whatever, whereas compared to another guy where he might score a lot more, he might do more, but you also might have one of those games where he doesn't do much.
I think tonight, I think I went with the regular guys, right? I think I gave Precious, Christian got in foul trouble, and I gave Precious and Chris and those guys their regular spots, and we weren't getting what we needed. So then it went to Thad, and he immediately impacted the game, and then you're kind of like, well, this looks like a game for Thad. It was almost like I almost considered starting him in the second half because it looked like it was really a game for him. So that's it. We kind of went the same way. It wasn't working, and we went the third way, the third option, and it was working very well. So kind of easy to go back to it or easy to stick to it.
That is historically and this year been so good with other starters. Is that a look you might consider to start the game going forward, or is it just let's see how every game plays out?
I wouldn't rule anything out. No, I think Christian's going to be our starter. Just got to get him a little rejuvenated here and get him going again, because it was just the last home game when he looked spectacular. So we just need to get him back on that.
What is it about Thad that makes him work so well next to other experienced players?
Well, I think that he's going to communicate with them a lot. I think there's, he's kind of versatile where he can figure out if he's the 5, if he's the 4, and help the other guy as well. And that, just doesn't, you don't even know sometimes, even though you would think he's the 5 with that lineup, they'll put their 5 on somebody else and he doesn't become the 5 on offense, right? So just really good at the experience factor of knowing where to go, what to do, helping other guys knowing what to do as well. But listen, tonight he was rebounding, man. That was what he was doing. He was really rebounding.
It looked like Precious was struggling a little bit before the injury. What did you think of his minutes tonight?
Played very good.
It's been a handful of games for Otto since he's been back. How do you feel he's kind of fit into the rotation?
Fit's good. I think there again, there's some upside with him yet. I think he's working on conditioning. That was one of those awesome moments tonight where he asked for a sub and then hit 2 threes in a row before the next whistle. So didn't need a sub too bad. If he can still shoot when he's tired, that's a good sign. But I think he's got to work and do some conditioning.
Back here at Scotiabank Arena, breaking down the highs and the lows. We'll start with the lows. Jonsey, you get them, and we'll talk about that start because it's an unfortunate start for the Toronto Raptors team, and you really don't want to come out that way against a young team. Why were they so sluggish?
I don't know. I don't know why they were sluggish, but I can tell you, give Houston some credit too. Here's a young team, as you said. They like to play a certain way, a certain pace. I give Steven Silas, John Lucas, Lionel Hollins, Sagana Diop, all of their coaching staff credit for, even though they're a young team, kind of instilling them with some confidence. And they came out of the gate playing that way. And, they were kind of like that old dog that you feed at the back door. You give him a little food and he just keeps coming back. And that's what the Rockets were as a young team. They got out early, they got some, and they kept coming after Toronto. And as I said earlier, it was OG scoring and his own defense that helped Toronto stay in it. It's troubling if you're the Raptors, though, to be getting off to these kinds of starts and having to constantly run a team down from behind. I just think they need to come out with more energy. They need to hit first. They need to be the one that dictates. And when they are doing that, particularly on the defensive end, they're really good. It didn't happen early last night. It happened later, and they got the win.
All right, from another low to a high on a night when you lose Precious Achiuwa to a possible ankle injury, you got a great performance from Otto Porter. What are we learning about him and his minutes?
Well, we're learning that he knows how to play. I mean, think about him. He's been around the league. He won a championship last year. He understands not only how to play, but he understands his role and how to be the best in his role. And when you have that veteran leadership that really doesn't try to step on anybody's toes, doesn't try to go outside of himself to prove that he should be on the floor, it really creates a symmetry for Nick Nurse coming off the bench. And there's no real spikes in expectation. But what he did great in that game, he did a great job scoring the basketball. 14 points in the game, but kind of like Fred VanVleet, most impactful in the fourth quarter because 8 of his 14 came in the fourth quarter. Efficient, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. So understanding the moment, understanding the role he was in. And listen, when you get late game minutes, you've got to produce. And the reason he was on the floor is because Nick Nurse felt that he could go out there and do positive things for the team, and he did that. He's also a very good rebounding guard. You talk about him getting 6 rebounds in that game. It's a sneaky stat, but it helps his team. And when the game was on the line, Nick Nurse trusted him to be on the floor because of his pedigree, because of his history, because of his know-how, and he answered the call in a big way.
Speaking of answering the call, let's head to the players' postgame.
So Nick said you asked out of the game right before you hit those 2 threes. Are you thankful he kept you in there?
No, I was gassed. I really was. But it's a process. I'm trying to get my legs, get my rhythm back. I don't even know how many minutes I played. 24 minutes, yeah. So just trying to get my wind back and get back to the swing of things.
Where are you in terms of your conditioning? Obviously, it's
getting there. It's getting there. It takes a couple more games to really get my wind back.
How about the comfort level, just in terms of being on the floor with those guys? Are you feeling more comfortable in the rotation?
Yeah, I'm still, because I miss training camp, I miss the preseason, so I'm still trying to figure my teammates out, what they like to do, their tendencies, stuff like that. So it'll take me a couple games, but once I know what they want to do, it'll just, it'll get more easier for me to move around and, get the correct spacing and defensive schemes and stuff like that.
What's it like playing with that again? been a little while. But
I know that. You know, we go way back, so I know everything he's going to do. So we play well off each other.
What does he do so well that allows him to play 26 minutes tonight and have such an impact?
I mean, any point in the game, you can throw him in. And he's professional. He's always ready. You know, his calmness about him, you know, he's been there, done it for a long time. So, you know, he knows the game. So you throw him out there. He's going to fit right in, you know, any time of the game.
Is that when you're really in the rhythm of the game, Nick? Talking about, you love to see that from you.
Yeah, I mean, just being assertive and being aggressive and, you know, just not waiting and just being, coming down, looking for my shot. And, you know, I feel like I'm one of the top shooters in the league. So the more attempts I get, you know, the better chance I got to make them. And, you know, if I keep shooting at this clip, it's going to keep going up. So just trying to be aggressive, find my spots. And I thought OG got us started with a great first half. I mean, very efficient. And there's little lulls here and there. You just try to pick up on those spots.
Feels like OG's wrecking a few possessions every game, maybe more than that defensively. What is it like to play out defensively next to him right now?
Oh, it's amazing. He's finally taking it personal. And, you know, if he ever gets any meaner, he's going to be really scary. So he's such a nice guy. And if he ever just turned into a bad guy, it'd be scary out there. So to see him, you know, take it personal on defense and just, you know, he can probably steal the ball whenever he feels like it, but he's making the right reads, crackbacks, and rotations and making plays on lobs and block shots. So he just looks great. Looks like the defensive player of the year so far. And, you know, we're going to need him to be that for us this year.
Today and every day, we celebrate Indigenous heritage,
where we honor the past, present, and future of Indigenous people
and contributions across Canada. Miigwech. Miigwech.
Miigwech.
My name is Joshua Mengijik Pewastekli. It means beautiful day. Saxon First Nation is where I call home. Growing up, every once in a while, my mom would pack us into the van, drive us down to Toronto to catch one of the games. It was always a huge event for us. Now here I am designing a shirt for the Raps. How cool is that? My inspiration behind this piece is the power of dreaming and having a vision and having the persistence and follow through. That is a powerful skill set to have. Indigenous representation matters. Our cultures matter, our lives matter, our dreams matter. Because of what settler colonialism taught me, I wasn't always proud of being Indigenous. There was a lot of shame there. Our people have been challenged, but we have come a long way. Despite everything, we are a proud people. I am proud to be Anunoby. I hope that my shirt can symbolize change that is being made for and by my people. Miigwech.
A big congratulations to Joshua Mengijik Pewastekli, who had his very special We the North Aboriginal shirt printed out and sold. 200 of them were at Real Sports Apparel, and they sold out with 15% of the proceeds going towards the Toronto Council Fire Native Cultural Centre, serving Toronto's Indigenous community. And it was a big night. It was the first time ever the Toronto Raptors had done something like that. The food in the building was catered towards the theme. Jonsey, you were there. Tell me your thoughts.
I think it's great. I think it adds to a recognition. And whenever you have any group that's been marginalized, it's important that people understand what they're going through, how they're trying to kind of assimilate into the greater society, what their challenges are. And it's important that that is out there so they can have the help and recognize their challenge. The biggest issue is to level the playing field. And some of these things that were done last night around the T-shirts and the donations and where they're going are a big part of that. The other thing is to keep that in the public eye, to keep the idea of leveling the playing field, equity, inclusivity, keep those things in the public eye, because too often they come to the forefront and then everything, as we always say, quote, goes back to normal, and people carry on and they forget about it. So it was great that the Raptors did this, but now we need to keep the same energy going for our Indigenous peoples.
Yeah, and the effort doesn't stop at Scotiabank Arena. The Toronto Raptors built a new court in Shigwenda and Manitoulin Island. Talk to us about the importance of having access to sport for marginalized groups, knowing that you yourself, coming from the Finch area, you blossom with the game of basketball, and it helps.
Yeah, well, we all understand how important sports are in terms of youth and impacting them in terms of growth and mental development, physical development, emotional development. And because we're all kind of recipients of being provided that opportunity, we can speak to it. And it's very important to understand how important sports are to our Indigenous kids, to understand how valuable it is, how inclusive it is, how it makes them feel when they're playing, the teamwork that's involved, the skill development, how it builds them up with confidence. It's a sport that really allows teamwork to come to the forefront, and basketball is a great vehicle for that. Our Indigenous brothers and sisters have been hurt. They've been hurt for a long time. They continue to be hurt. We need to bring them in. We need to take care of them. We need to make sure that they feel that they're wanted and they're a part of our culture, because they are our culture. And I think this is a great step in that direction. A lot more has to be done, but we need to support our Indigenous brothers and sisters every chance we can. They are hurt people, and there are people that have been forgotten in many ways and mistreated. They don't deserve that. They deserve way better, and we can have a part in making it better for them.
Well said, Sherm. If you haven't seen the court, well, right now we have this feature from when we went to Manitoulin Island to check out the brand new court in Shigwenda.
Reconciliation. This is what it means to walk hand in hand with community and really be led by their vision and their goals. So it's exciting to see it all come together.
We're told so much, growing up that our youth are future leaders, right? Sometimes they're put down and stepped on, but you take a look at today, right? They made this happen. We made this happen.
Important to bring basketball to community. Bringing basketball to spaces that are often neglected is something that, as the Raptors, are privileged to be a part of.
Seeing them all come together today has just been so incredible. Watching these kids in November with their sticky notes and designing the space and seeing it come to fruition, and their parents, their families coming together to enjoy the space, celebrating their win. Like, this is a huge win, not just for the youth, but just for Shigwenda as a whole. For the youth that have this as an empowerment and just build their confidence as their own space.
Up next for your Toronto Raptors, a matchup with the Oklahoma City Thunder and one of Canada basketball's very finest players who's doing it all for his team right now, leading in almost every statistical category, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We talked a little bit last show when we knew the Oklahoma City Thunder were coming up, Sherm, about exactly what makes this guy special. Break it down for us.
Well, Akil, what makes him special is his feel for the game. He's so good with the ball in his hands, and he's such a good decision maker. You see him here, he sees two defenders back in transition, but what does he do? He continues to push the pace, gets by one, splits the second one, with a bit of the Euro step, the high ball elevation to finish over the top. That kind of feel for what Shai can bring to the floor is so special. And you mentioned off camera about the cadence. Look at the cadence of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Does a good job here. Breaks down the defense at the three-point line, sees where everybody's positioned, but there's a lot of space in there, gets that ball to the one hand, goes up, finishes over the top. He has the ability and the feel appeal to get into spaces with his stride, his length, and his decision-making. And again here, as the point guard, setting everything up, everything's in front, the breakdown, how about the stop, round the back dribble, creates a little space. Look how the defender's trying to run away, but look how many players for the Clippers are locked into the ball, into the paint. Now his vision comes to the forefront, and now he has the ability to find a teammate because everybody's locked in on him. attracts everybody, gets a wide open shot for a teammate, a clean look from the three-point line. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is special in so many ways.
On Wednesday night in the double OT thriller, 39 points. SGA, is this the year that he gets his votes for All-Star?
You know, Akil, it depends on the team, because this guy is an all-star player. There's no question about that. He's an all-star talent. He has all-star numbers, but we've seen it many times. Even though you have those prerequisites, if the team isn't winning, people will look at it as, well, just another good player on a team that isn't playing well. And even on a team that isn't playing well, somebody's got to have good numbers. Let's hope that the Oklahoma City Thunder can climb the standings and do some work before All-Star break so that Shai's numbers start to shine in a winning environment. That'll give him his best chance at being an All-Star.
All right, Jonsey, you get the Australian sensation, Josh Giddey. How does he create these passing lanes?
Well, he does a terrific job, Akil, in terms of his position and his penetration. There's the breakdown right there. 2 feet in the paint. Look at all the defenders, save one, with their eyes on him. You've got cuts on the baseline. Great job. Giddey has terrific vision. We've talked about that. Lays it down, and they get a layup underneath behind the defense. He is so good with his decision-making and his feel for the game. Here he is again. Comes around the screen, gets the matchup he wants, again, gets into the paint. Again, 3 defenders looking at him. Kenrich Williams coming in behind the defense. Giddey in the paint, lays it down. Position, penetration, and also you have to look at the timing of the pass. But here, with everybody worried about his passing, he brings it forward, notices that there's 5 out, all the defenders outside the paint, there's all kinds of room, and now his ball handling ability and a simple crossover gets him to the basket for an easy layup. The kid has so much going for him in terms of his knowledge of the game at such a young age. Wait till he learns more and starts to get a bit stronger, not necessarily bulky, because he may always be that wiry kind of strong, but he's tough with the ball.
Now, normally when you're scouting a player, you're trying to take away his ability to score. How do you take away someone's ability to create for other people?
Well, I think we've seen this in the past with a great Canadian point guard in Steve Nash, where he's such a good passer that they made him a scorer at times and tried to make him go for 30 or 40 points because he was way more damaging pitching it out for 3-point shots to multiple players. So that's one way. You might want to make Josh Giddey have to score the basketball. The other side of it is, and we saw this a bit against the young Houston Rockets team, be a bit physical with them. You know, get into him. Make sure he doesn't have that freedom of movement the way he likes to see the floor. Active hands. The Raptors are big on deflections and big at taking away visual passing lanes with their activity. So I think you put those things together with the length of the Raptors on a Josh Giddey, that should help them kind of slow him down. He's great, but he's young. And he's got to learn, and you've got to take advantage of his inexperience, and the Raptors have a lot of experience in their lineup.
All right, speaking of taking advantage of inexperience, the Toronto Raptors get set for a 3-game road swing against a couple of young teams, and it starts Friday night, 8 p.m. with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you can catch that game, both the radio and TV call, on the Sportsnet family of networks. On behalf of myself, Jonsey, Sherm, Akil, Josh, and of course Jake, thank you for watching Raptors Today.